A few weeks ago, we learned that Nikola went bankrupt. Who's next? In this video, I want to talk about the special situation of investing in electric vehicles companies, Nikola, some examples, and I will give you some tips so that you don't invest in such companies. Because these companies, if they go bankrupt, the stock will go to zero, and you want to avoid at all costs these kind of situations. You want to avoid these stocks at all costs. So I will give you some tips so that you don't fall into this trap. In case this is your first video from this channel, welcome. My name is Christophe Nour. I've been investing in the stock market for almost a decade now, and I have achieved a performance of 25% per year, investing in stocks and minimizing this kind of mistake. Okay, so the EV maker Nikola files for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. It was in middle of February. If you go to Guru Focus, you see Nikola and you see the fundamentals of Nikola. The company IPO'd here in 2020, okay? And at the time, 2020, 2021, we had 0% interest rates. You had a lot of hype when it comes to EV companies because you can be unprofitable and survive for a while. And a lot of EV makers started to go into the public markets, raise money from the market. So you go into IPO, and I have plenty of other examples in the same industry. Huge bubble. Because I remember I was there, and you had the pitch deck, the investor presentation, the slides from Nikola, the Rivian, all this stuff. And they all projected that they would build more cars, exponentially more cars, and that will lead to profitability in a few years. Guess what? They didn't produce more cars. They didn't produce any earnings. They didn't produce any free cash flow. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit so you know what I'm talking about. Look at the revenue of this business. Frankly, nothing to see here. Look at the net income of this business. You don't see net income, that's normal. You only see red, you only see blood, you only see losses. You have a negative net income, only losses. This business has always been unprofitable. Why do you want to invest in Nikola? Some people took their hard-earned money and chose Nikola instead of Amazon or Google. Some people are built to have risks, right? So the losses were higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And what they said in their slides, investor presentation, when they went public, oh, you know what? It was a fantasy land, a magic land that didn't happen. Is it the same for EBITDA? Even EBITDA that you can shit on was always negative. That was a complete mess. By the way, if you're looking for a complete framework to analyze stocks and build a strong portfolio, I have a coaching program. More on that at the end of the video. So look at this. This is the cash and debt balance sheet. In 2020, you have a lot of cash because they had raised money from public markets. So you get cash from investors, maybe some pockets of retail investors. They have a lot of cash, and immediately they start burning the cash, and they need to raise debt 2 years after this, as if they needed the cash to burn more of. It is completely crazy. So you have less cash, burning the cash every quarter of the year, and you need a lot of money to operate in this kind of industry. This is a very difficult industry to be in for their defense. So they had to go to debt, basically. And even after the debt, they still went unprofitable, horrible results, and they went bankrupt. So if you go to quarterly data, in 2 years, you go from having more cash than debt to having more debt than cash. That's pretty bad. Now let's look at the free cash flow. Free cash flow always was always negative. And look at the SBC. SBC was positive. Congrats, guys. Stock options, free salaries for the management. So if you want to throw up, please watch the next 30 seconds. If you want to invest in Nikola, here is the point. You invest, imagine you are in 2021 and you invest in Nikola, saying they have a great future. In 2021, Nikola didn't have any earnings. They had $700 million of losses. Okay? At the same time, the management gave themselves $200 million worth of stock options. So they burned your cash, your money, but they gave themselves huge salaries, huge bonuses, huge stock options, similarly to 2022. Yeah, not the kind of stuff you want to invest in if you want to be happy, in my opinion. In 2021, they also diluted shareholders. 2022, they issued more shares to dilute shareholders, raise some cash. Same thing for 2023. The company went public in 2020. And 2 years after this, they already entered panic mode. How strong is your business model? Show them this chart. No strength at all for this business model that is struggling. And all the forecast that you had when they became public in 2020, everything evaporated. No cars. Complete mess. Bad earnings. Bad business model. Bad execution. I'm not an expert in the EV industry. This is why I don't invest in EV companies, but this is a very difficult industry to be in. And I remember when the company IPO'd, it was available at an extremely high price, and people put money to work. The next question is, who is the next Nikola to go bankrupt? So what I just showed you, revenue, net income, SBC, stock-based compensation, dilution of shareholders. Please check this. I have a couple of examples in mind, but I won't tell you because I don't want to get insulted, because some investors of these companies are hardcore fans of these companies. So that's fine, but you have plenty of candidates in the EV market. You have a lot of EV companies that are burning cash. You have a lot of I can tell you some sectors. You have a lot of quantum computer companies that fit this scenario very well. You have a lot of AI companies that are small. The stock price goes exponentially up, but the net income goes exponentially down. So you have a mismatch between fundamentals and stock prices, and this is exactly how bubbles are created. So be careful. If you happen to fall into this category and you want to invest in a similar company, be very careful. Be very careful and be aware that you can go to zero. Everybody that invested in Nikola lost everything. The stock went to zero. If you had invested during the IPO, but also after the 50% decline, but also after the 90% decline, even 6 months ago, you tell yourself, oh, it went down 99%, it can't go lower. Yes, they lost everything. They lost, even if you buy it at a huge discount. If the company is bad, if the company is burning cash, you will lose 100% of your investment. And I wouldn't be surprised now that we have higher interest rates. The interest rates in 2020 were at 0%, right? And now they are at roughly 4%. So it's much more difficult to finance your debt, to reschedule your debt. So I'm expecting much more bankruptcies in 2025. We will see what happens. Maybe I will make a second video to this extent if you have another big player going down. But Nikola was big at the time, and people forgot because it was already. I mean, it was 5 years ago already. Wow. People are forgetting, but this is a cycle that will occur again and again. So guys, please be cautious. If you do fundamental analysis, normally you don't fall into this kind of traps, but be very cautious with speculative companies, speculative stocks with a hype sector. If you like this content, I have an investing coaching program. In this program, you will learn a complete investing process. You will learn how to find good stock ideas, how to properly value stocks, when to buy, when to sell, so that you can build a strong portfolio. Additionally, you will have access to my personalized guidance for long-term results. We will do weekly calls where we analyze stocks together, and you will have access to my private number available 24/7 for full support. If you are blocked, if you have any questions, I'm here to help. Click the first link in the description to get more information. You will get a video that explains how everything works completely for free. No need to sign up, no need for your email address. Just click the first link in the description and I'll see you on the other side.